Good morning, everyone, and welcome to FPC Radio Live. It's Tuesday. It's May the 25th. Incredible. We're almost through the month of May, which means we're getting closer and closer to the start of the NFL season because that's all we think of around here. That's the terms in which we think of. It's when's the NFL season? When's it going to start? How long until NFL season? And that's pretty much how we run our lives around here. We don't look at the clock. We don't look at the sun. We don't pay attention to the seasons unless it's NFL season. And I don't pay attention to anything but my good man, Mr. Mike Debate. Mike, good morning, buddy.
I'm doing well, buddy. I am doing well. It is good. It is Tuesday, May 25th. Again, just really sliding through the months here. It really is amazing. I can't believe that we're on the almost the half year mark. At this time next month, it'll be pretty much half the year of 2021 will be in the books, and time continues to fly. We're getting closer to the NFL season. A lot going on, NHL and NBA playoffs, great stuff, and there's a ton going on. Major League Baseball in full swing, like the pun, and I think that's it's great. There's always a lot to talk about here.
Yeah, there really is, and I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that yesterday was the 11th year since the original run of 24 went off the air. Now we're not going to spend too much. Normally, this triggers a entire show of us talking about 24, but we got something a little special in the works for that in particular. But it is coming.
Not within the hour, but it is coming.
Not within the hour. No, we're not going to drop that type of. That's great. I like that. That. Good job. No, but it's coming. But I would be remiss if I did not mention it at least because 11 years ago this was a pretty big week for those of us who are consider ourselves TV files. Is that a word? Is that a thing?
I think so.
Because I consider myself that back in the day of actual week to week browsing, viewing and all that. And, these two shows were really the last of a dying breed, Mike. Last of a dying breed.
They were.
And by that, I mean, in the era of just pure week to week viewing. Now, I get it. I understand. There's been other shows. You talk about things like Breaking Bad and some of these other shows that you did have to watch week to week. But the point is, a lot of these shows now are transitioning to being able to view them. And in which case, if you wanted to rewatch these particular shows, you had to break out the VHS, record them, and watch them or catch the replay on TV. It wasn't like, okay, you missed this episode, it's going to be on Hulu in 2 hours. No, that's what I'm talking about. Last of a dying breed, Mike. But it was a tough week because back to back, two of my favorite shows of all time, Lost, 24, went off the air forever. And, forever. I mean, 24 did come back briefly, but, for the most part, they went off the air. And at that time, there was no, no idea or no anticipation of a revival series. But, that 11 years ago on the 24th, coincidentally, of May 2010. No, I put us about 20,000 years in the future. 2010, mind you, they both went off the air. So yeah, I had to bring that up.
That's good. I'm glad you did, and it is. It takes you back to a time of appointment viewing. And you just don't see appointment viewing anymore. I mean, scheduling your whole day around being able to watch those shows. We did it. we absolutely did it back in the day, and I don't know. It was just something special about knowing that your favorite show was going to be on. You really wanted to make every effort to be able to view it, and mostly because it was just too much of a hassle to tape, so you wanted to see it live.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, who did anyone understand or anyone ever figure out the timing on a VHS, like when it comes to recording? Like, did you ever trust that? No, I didn't. No, not at all. I mean,
you always had to set it like 10 minutes in advance. 15 minutes at the end. You know what I mean?
I mean, God forbid that you record a game that goes to overtime, or if you were like me, I used to record, if I missed it, and I very rarely did, but like Monday Night Raw or something like that.
Oh yeah.
If you happen to cut it off and there was still a couple minutes left, you're screwed. There was a lot of problems. There's a lot of complications when it comes to
And it usually meant that the best part was coming up exactly when it was going to be cut, because
Oh
they
yeah,
always
yeah.
ended on a high note.
Oh, of course, of course. I mean, yeah, that's a yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you weren't missing anything miss worthy. You were missing
Right.
something that you didn't want to miss. That was always the case. But
Right.
de- definitely had to jump through hoops back in the day, and certainly those early seasons of 24, it was a little bit more difficult. A buddy of mine, I was in high school, obviously. Uh, you know, we would just drink a bunch of Dr. Pepper for some reason because Dr. Pepper was in, um, and we're also in high school, so it wasn't like we could do any of those other extracurricular activities that came our way a few years later. But
hey, what you do on your own time?
Hey, everyone's been in college or in that age. You can figure it out for yourself. But to put you in a more in the mindset of what we're kids. So I would go over his house. He would come over my house. We would alternate, and we would hang out. We would watch 24 because, well, it was a great show, and we were both really hooked on it. And never missed an episode. And then, of course, it went off the air yesterday. So had to bring that up. Mike. I can't help myself. So let's get focused here, because, like I said, we have other things planned for that. Not within this hour, as Mike said. So we'll leave it at that, and we'll expound on that a little bit later, or you'll just have to wait until it comes out, and then we'll be like, oh yeah, hey, this is what we were talking about. Listen. But anyways, no, there is plenty of stuff to talk about, because this weekend again, we talk about the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Bruins, obviously, if you're a Bruins fan, which I know a good number of people that listen to the show are, because they're from New England, they're sitting home, they're relaxing. They took out the Washington Capitals, and I couldn't have been happier. It was a beautiful, beautiful played series. They played really well, and again, it gives you. I've adjusted my expectations for this team considerably over the last month and a half around the trade deadline, and now they're just waiting for the Islanders and Pittsburgh to wrap up their series. Pittsburgh dropped Game 5 last night to the Islanders. Winnipeg knocks out Edmonton. Triple overtime last night. You know what? I'm going to get to that here in just a minute. I don't want to get too deep into the playoffs, because I do want to pull up a couple clips of that. And I got something queued up, though, because this is the talk of the town, the talk of Twitter yesterday and sports shows. But Julio Jones.
Yeah.
And look, anyone who knows me or knows who's known me for a while knows that I'm not the biggest fan of Shannon Sharpe. I've been blocked by him on Twitter for a number of years now. This is not a recent development. I called him out on a few takes, and he didn't take too kindly to it and blocked me. But the guy, it's funny to me, because not funny. I don't know what the words are. Maybe you can find them for me, Mike. But the guy is a Hall of Fame tight end. Had a hell of a career.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best players in the NFL history. But he's going to be remembered as being a clown on television. I mean, look, I don't necessarily like to get too into individuals, but he's fallen into this Skip Bayless trap where he's become a character. I mean, and whether or not, and I'm going to play the clip here in just a moment, whether or not Julio Jones knew, I don't know. I mean, there's speculation. Oh, there's no way that he could have called and not told Julio Jones. But I'll let you be the judge. Let me play the clip, and then we'll react to it, because makes it a little bit easier. Okay. Again, Julio could have known that they were on air. It's kind of hard not to, assuming he's calling at the time that he's been doing the show. But I don't know. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like he kind of was like, oh, remind him he's on the air. Oh yeah, we're on the air, by the way. That seems a little. I don't know. Like you said, maybe I'm a little bit biased because again, I'm not the biggest fan of Shannon Sharpe. So for me to find something to nitpick about him, it's going to be easy. But no, it just didn't seem. I think Julio handled it fairly professionally. And look, at the end of the day, it's not like this isn't state secrets here. This is him. Right. He's already put this out in public. He wants a trade, so this shouldn't really be a shock to anyone. I think it's just the nature of doing that on live television, and I really felt that like he didn't necessarily know that was the case. And maybe I'm wrong. Again, I mean, he calls him his favorite uncle, and whatever. I mean, Shannon Sharpe seems to call himself a lot of things that I don't know. It's very self-congratulatory or self-promoting, but I don't know. What are your thoughts? Did you get the same impression I did, or am I just kind of thinking a little bit too much into this, just in general?
Well, the first time I saw the clip yesterday, I really thought did not believe he was on the air. It sounded very authentic. It sounded very organic. And I'm sitting there thinking, did Julio really know he was on the air? It sounds like he didn't know. The more you sit there, the more you absorb it, the more you start to think about it. It seems very unlikely that he wouldn't have known prior to that Shannon would have been that nonchalant about, allowing him to potentially spill something on the air that really could have been, really end up being detrimental to his case, to the Falcons trying to deal him. It definitely now lessens their position of strength by quite a lot. So in a lot of ways, I have my doubts on it. I'm feeling it was more pre-planned than not. That's just my opinion, folks. I have no information to support that. It may be exactly as it's being portrayed. It may end up being something that was pre-planned, but ultimately my thought process was that it was something that, Julio had some prior knowledge on. And I think that, maybe it was a way for him to be able to kind of maybe write his own ticket and decide where he wants to go. Now, there are teams out there that are going to be lining up for it. Dallas will be in on this. I know he says I'm not going there, but they will be in on this.
Well, he doesn't have a no trade clause, so
he doesn't. So I mean, it depends on who's going to offer the best package. Now, can Dallas offer the best package? Probably not. I think there are teams out there right now, like the New England Patriots, that could provide a very good return when it comes to draft picks. They do have the ability to absorb Julio's salary, convert some of it into a salary signing bonus, and lessen the cap hit. They're fortunate in that regard. Teams will find a way. If you want to find a way to get Julio Jones into your fold, they'll find a way to do it. There's just no other way to explain it. I mean, we're talking about one of the most
finds a way,
wide
Mike.
Receivers. Yeah,
life finds a way.
Life finds a way. Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Malcolm. I appreciate that.
But first time I ever heard my name, outside of folks calling my name, by the way, in that movie, Dr. Ian Malcolm. First time. Obviously, my last name's not Malcolm. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry, you triggered my Jurassic Park reflex.
No, that's good. That's great, and I'm glad that you did it. And it was a good drop in. But let's not forget that Julio is coming off of his least productive season as a wide receiver, one of them anyway. 51 catches, 777 yards. Now, a lot of that was due to the fact that he only played in 9 games last year. Had a hamstring injury on the wrong side of 30. So you look at that and you say, okay, what type of haul are these teams going to give up to try to get Julio Jones in the fray? It's tough to say. It really is tough to say. And it's going to be tough to reconcile how much you're going to give up for the future, because you're probably looking at keeping Julio under contract for at least a couple of years. He already has $2 million of his salary guaranteed for 2022, no matter what team takes him on. So this is not going to be a one-year rental. Likely it's not going to be a one-year rental. So what do you do? How do you, how do you make the move and decide which assets you're going to give up? Teams like the Patriots don't necessarily have a whole lot of NFL ready talent that needs to be returned simply because they're not going to be able to take on any additional contracts. So this is going to be interesting. The Falcons right now are up against it with the salary cap. I think this is inevitable that he gets dealt. The only question now is, where does he get dealt? BetOnline.ag has the Patriots at the favorite at -150 right now. Baltimore Ravens are up there. The Tennessee Titans, which I think is a very intriguing option for Julio. I would say Atlanta would probably prefer not to trade him in the NFC. So I think the AFC teams now take a major jump, and we'll see what happens. Who's going to throw their hat into the ring to try to get Julio Jones? Because one thing is almost certain now, he won't be in Atlanta next year.
Yeah, and look, I mean, the key, and we've talked about this before. The key date here is June. I mean, this isn't going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen the next day. It's going to happen after June 1st, and that is for the very reason you just stated. I mean, the Falcons are really up against it, and it makes no sense for them to get impatient, trade him prior to this deadline, and put themselves in a position where they don't save any money. They wait until after. Well, there you go. Now you got your cap space, and you get a little something for it, and then maybe some draft picks would suffice. And look, I think that's what it's gonna take. And I know some people have thrown this opinion out there that what was I going to say? Thrown the opinion out there that he could potentially net a smaller return than Mohamed Sanu, and which it's possible. It's possible. I also have to point out too the difference in circumstance. Obviously, making a trade at the trade deadline, generally, or not generally, but in a lot of cases, the team that's selling really kind of gets a premium for whatever player. And in this case, that's what happened with the Patriots. They were desperate, so they probably, in all likelihood, paid more than what they should have. So if Julio Jones nets just a second round pick, people are going to constantly be like, "Oh wow, how did Atlanta do?" No, that's what Julio Jones is probably worth. He's not worth a first round draft pick, as great as he has been. And you brought up the injuries last year. I don't want to call it injury history because he's been, for the most part, fairly healthy. Durable, and I think there's this false narrative kind of been floating around that he's an injury prone guy because, well, he's coming off his most recent season being an injury and he's plus 30. So put those two together, injury prone. No matter what the circumstances are, you're injury prone. I don't think he is, and I think he is valuable to an extent. Like I said, I think his value is at a second round pick, maybe combined with a late round or maybe a swap of later round picks. That's where I think his value is at right now, because not only are you paying for the player, but you're also paying for the contract, and you're paying for the numbers that are going to come with it. So this isn't a free agent signing. This isn't a easy swap. Teams are going to have to make some adjustments, but ultimately it comes down to the three teams I think that kind of popped into mind when this question first came up. It's New England, it's Baltimore, and it's Seattle, in my opinion. Those three teams. Now, I don't know as well about the situations with the Ravens and the Seahawks as I do with the Patriots, but two teams that have, for the better part of the last, 2 seasons, have been really searching for a number one receiver. I mean, the Ravens obviously flirted with Antonio Brown. Russell Wilson and the Seahawks seem to think that adding more offenses will fix their need. And well, when you got your mind set on it, well, that's what you do. So, and then of course the Patriots, who I think are, I've seen some people make some proclamations or exclamations about what they're going to be, projections about what they're going to be if they get Julio Jones. And I think obviously they're better, but I'm not calling them title contenders, because I think ultimately, no matter what you have, it all still comes down to the quarterback. And I don't know about what the quarterback play is going to be. So you can put this group together and put them on the field. And in years past, I would sit there and flirt with calling this an undefeated level team because you have Tom Brady. And I had never in any season since I started growing hair on my chin have I ever doubted Tom Brady. That's how long he's just, I'm still working on it. I haven't shaved ever, and this is how thick it's becoming. That was never a doubt. I mean, some people, oh, it's his age. No, I never doubted it. Tom Brady, don't care. Whatever we have, quarterback position's fine. That's great. See, now here's the thing. They have a defense. They have weapons on offense. I'm not saying I doubt Cam. I just don't know. Yeah. And I'm not going to sit here and blind, of course they're Super Bowl contenders. No, if they get poor quarterback play, they're not Super Bowl contenders. I don't care how many great players they have. Look at Tampa Bay. I mean, let's be honest here. Look at Tampa Bay. We've been fighting this for the last, several months, especially now since they won the Super Bowl, because people are getting revisionist history about the quality of team that they were heading into it. They were talented. They had plenty of talent, very much like the Patriots right now. But they got poor quarterback play, very poor quarterback play. And save me the 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns. The 5,000 yards were a product of Jameis Winston throwing 30 interceptions and the need to throw that many yards. You can throw 5,000 yards and have a bad season. There's a reason why Drew Brees got that many 5,000 yard seasons. It's because they went 7-9 more often than not when he did that. So obviously, the Patriots have many of the qualities that you look for in Super Bowl contending teams. They have on paper a pretty explosive looking offense, and then you potentially add Julio Jones to that, and then you're like, oh wow, this is great. And then you add in the running backs, but it doesn't matter if you're getting poor play under center. And if Cam Newton doesn't improve, then it is what it is. Or if Mac Jones isn't up to the task yet, well, you're probably at the best maybe a one and done wild card team. Right. If you don't have the honestly, if you don't have the quarterback play, you're not doing anything. And you know what, Mike? I think we got a caller, and I think it's our biggest, greenest, and angriest at times caller from the 860. See, I knew it. Because you're the only one who calls us, so. Not to mention I saved your name, so it comes up as Murph. So, Julio. Yeah, sign me up. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, apparently someone's calling me and my thing's connected to the thing. I guess Mike's having problems hearing you, but I do want to speak real quick on your on your comment, and that's a great point. He doesn't have a no trade clause. Yeah, he cannot dictate. And if I was Petty, if I was the Atlanta Falcons, I'd trade him to Dallas if that's where he doesn't want to go. You know what I mean? Or wherever he doesn't want to go, that's where I'm going to trade him. So,
or is he playing Jedi mind tricks with the Atlanta front office? Maybe he wants to go to Dallas.
See, Mike
to force his way in.
Can you hear Mike, Murph? Okay, well, I will translate for you. Mike said Ian is the best. Maybe he wants to go and play Jedi mind tricks. I'm just the messenger here.
Coming here. honestly, does this put the Patriots in a position to win a Super Bowl? No. If Julio Jones comes here, does he diminish the return that the Patriots get on money invested in the off season at the receiver spot? Yes, he does. There are so many variables to this that just do not work for the Patriots on different levels. Never mind the cost that somebody else is going to end up paying to bring Julio, or being asked for to bring Julio in. I don't think he goes for a second round pick. I think you were dead on balls accurate with your assessment of his value at this point in time. He is over 30. Randy Moss was 30 years old when he came here. Jones is 33 years old. He is making a ton of money. We talked about this on One Patriots Place yesterday with Pat's Cap, and Miguel pointed out the drawbacks of bringing him in. Please check that out, folks, please. And I don't see it happening. I just don't. Moss was a one-time thing. It was a too good to be true situation. He was coming off a seriously down year. It almost looked like his career was over before he came here. And we're not gonna get that again, guys.
No, and that's a great point. I mean, Randy Moss, it's like comparing, it's a once in a lifetime thing. And, I'm still trying to figure out this connection thing. So I'm going to drop you here, Murph, but I appreciate your calling in, and I'm going to try to translate everything you said to Mike, because he didn't hear you. So if I get anything wrong, don't call me out on it. But,
never.
But we always look
Take
forward.
It easy, guys.
We always look forward to it. Okay, so I'm working on that, Mike. I'm working on it. Let's see what. Can you hear me now, Mike? Can you hear me now? No. Okay, I'm getting a deadpan look, and it looks like you can't hear me. All right, folks. I think I'm coming in on the radio on live, so it's okay. I'm going to keep talking and hopefully figure this whole situation out. But the value for Julio Jones, like Murph brought up, is at that second round pick. The problem is you also have to shoulder that financial burden. And not only is Julio Jones not Randy Moss, and that's not an insult because there's not too many other players that have ever been Randy Moss. He's older, and it's not going to, you're not going to catch lightning in a bottle like you did with Randy Moss back in the day. So if you're the Patriots, unless the most ideal situation comes around and you are able to see, I just heard something. Mike. Maybe I'm just talking to myself, and it kind of seems like that way. But and Murph does say, "I'm never calling back in again." It looks like he ruined everything. It's okay. It's okay. I'm still working on this whole situation. This is terrible. This is what you call live radio, and not knowing what the hell to do when things go horribly wrong, and you can't figure it out. So we might have to cut this a little bit short, because I'm not going to keep talking this whole time. Anyways, Julio Jones to the Patriots. I think it's a bit of a pipe dream, but I'm not ruling out the possibility. The Patriots would kind of have to wait and just see if Atlanta does something stupid. Let's see if they, keep passing the ball in the Super Bowl type of thing. And if they do, maybe the Patriots just kind of sit back and let them fall into your laps. But you're not going to go out and overpay for Julio Jones. You're not going to overpay for a huge contract like that. If it happens to work out, if it happens to fall in your lap, then I think you take advantage of it. But if not, then you might have to say goodbye to that pipe dream. So we're going to wrap it up here, a little bit short here. Obviously, we're having a little audio issues. I'm not quite sure exactly what's happening, but I don't want to bore everyone and not get Mike involved with all this. So Mike's going to sit there and not know what the hell is going on, and I am going to end the show today. So join us tomorrow, Wednesday. We're going to wrap up some more Julio Jones talk, I'm sure, and of course, we're going to talk some Stanley Cup playoffs, and of course, whatever the hell crosses our mind. So give us a follow on Twitter at Full Press Radio, at FPC Radio Live. I am at IGLEN31, and he is at MDABATEFPC. You can see it up on the screen if you happen to be watching. Everyone, have a great day.